Good evening, wonderful people. This is vk3sl. Welcome to the late night program, and I can hear you there, Frank.
Good evening, Steve.
Hi.
vk3sl.
Did you get to the talk back?
No. I heard some of it before the talkback. I heard some of the news.
Sure.
No, I didn't. Didn't do that.
No, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're here, and I've just come back. Actually, I've been to another fabulous performance of Split Earth.
How did it go?
Oh, it's marvelous. It was absolutely marvelous. The kids. The one thing about going multiple times is you see the whole cast mature through the performance and just grow to develop their acting skills and become more fearless and improvisatory, and it sort of takes on a life of its own, and you really see that happen. And it's one of the great thrills of my working life is seeing young people develop. And acting is the same thing, really. It's just marvellous.
But they enjoyed it a lot more tonight too, with the having been not quite so worried about how it was going to go.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, it's third night in, so it's sort of the continuity aspect certainly developed.
Yeah.
And but lots of wonderful sort of rapport moments on stage and feeding off each other and good chemistry, and it just had it really is lifting and it in that sense, and the good actors sort of embolden the lesser experienced actors, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So there's a collective force going on there, and it's one of those wonders of the creative endeavour, I think, is to see how people feed off each other, and how it's a real part of human intuition is being able to feel that deep connectedness on an artistic level. And yeah, they certainly did it tonight. It was just wonderful. So 2 more. That's tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. So yeah, should be around. I should be around on Sunday for admission, so I'll be able to report on it all then.
Great. Yeah, I should be okay too.
Oh, good, excellent. That's great, Frank.
I've backed my mic gain off a bit. Is that still okay?
It's very good. I can notch you up a little bit here, but you're fully quietening. It's fine, and there's no squelch tail, so that's really good.
Great.
Yeah, a little bit. I might look at. We'll have to talk about that at some point, but yeah, So all fine. Now, what was I was going to play a little bit more of the Bieber. I found a really interesting artist who recorded them back in the 60s, Suzanne what's her name? I was just reading about her and sampling her music earlier on. Suzanne, let me find it here. Suzanne Laudenbacher is her name, but she plays in a slightly less breathy Baroque style. I don't get seasick listening to it, and it's and with a stronger, a fuller tone, I suppose. It's just a stylistic difference, but it's fabulous hearing this music. And I listened to some Reinhold Goebel playing it as well. And
yes.
He's with the Musica Antica of Cologne. I think
he does.
Yeah, he's sort of a product of the 80s and 90s, I think, more.
He's a motorbike rider.
Oh, was he really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Heavily into motorbike.
Oh, my goodness me. I didn't know that at all.
Yes, he's a man of action.
Reinhold Goebel. There we go. Well.
He's also a man of usually a very fast tempi.
Very good. Okay. Right. Well, we might hear a little bit of him as well.
I have some of his recordings.
Okay. Right.
I sort of like him, but I wish he'd just slow down
a bit. Let the music breathe. Yeah, we'll see what you think of Suzanne Lautenbach. I just read a note about her and then looked her up, and she sort of brought these Bieber sonatas to light for the first time, or made the first recordings of them in the 60s. So they're in the public domain and worth a listen. So we'll hear a little bit of that, I think. And I've got some foray here I was wanting to sample. I was at the op shop earlier in the week. I think it was when I was sick, and I was getting some... Yes, I was waiting for my antibiotics at the chemist, and there's an op shop next to the chemist, very close by. So I walked in and had a look at the vinyl, as you do, and amongst them was an old Decca vinyl from the 50s, a full frequency range recording of foray piano pieces performed by Kathleen Long, who is she was one of the great French school pianists. I think she premiered quite some of the music of Ravel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so, I'd like to just hear how she'd be I imagine she'd be a great exponent of Foray's music. So, yeah, it will be interesting to have a listen to that. So maybe just a little of that as well and see how we go. But to kick off, I've got here, it's a record I played last week, but I'll play the other side. It's early, really early. It's a recording made in the period before the First World War, and it's one of those heavy shellac discs with a ridge round the edge, and it's a Lyceum record. What does it say? Recorded in London, reproduced in Berlin. Now, after once the First World War started to heat up, no more records were distributed from London. The Berlin-London relationship was terminated, as you can imagine.
Yes.
Yeah. So Lyceum. I think these are budget discs, but they're early days, and they're just full of sort of potpourri bits and pieces, Edwardian kitsch, as it were. So this one's the Warbler's Serenade. We heard the Whistler and his dog last week.
Oh, yes.
So we'll hear the Warbler's Serenade, and this is music going back to the very early days, back to, as I said, about 1910, thereabouts. Am I on in sync? Let me just check what's going on here? Excuse me. I might have to restart looks like I've got a computer crash. Oh, that's not what I want. That's a nuisance. Let me try it again. Bear with me. I'll have to restart this. No, it's absolutely frozen. Oh dear. All right, we'll have to go barefoot, folks. Here we go. Scratches, warts and all. I don't know how copyable that was, all that noise. It probably sounded more like a rainstorm.
So it's only the hard notes got a little bit lost.
Yeah, it was pretty much very low in the mix, but pretty early recording. And the sort of things people were listening to in the early days of the century. But it's just got that kitsch intrigue about it. I'm still waiting on this computer to wake up. It's doing something weird. It says it's updating now. Do not unplug my machine. Well, it looks to me like it's suspiciously in cyclic redundancy mode, so I think it's just going through the endless circle of not doing anything, which means I have to just play 78s barefoot. But it's probably not that much of a problem. It might be more of an issue for people listening online because the frequency response of the YouTube feed is quite wide. But on when most people listening on air probably have some sort of filtering above 4K anyhow.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's so it's sort of a natural roll off anyhow. So it's probably it means that the noise reduction is not quite as critical. I'll play just a couple of these tiny little pygmy gramophone records I mentioned this afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because every other side is a band recording. So you have a dance band on one side playing hits of the day, 20s hits, and on the other is usually marches and brass band stuff. And these are a bit of fun. I'll play a little pygmy gramophone disc. Number 45, it says Spanish March, A Bunch of Roses, played by the Empire Guards Band, whoever they were. So, again, we'll go barefoot. Fingers crossed that we can make sense of this. The records look pretty worn. Short and shiny. There we have it. That's they actually reproduced quite well considering there's no noise reduction. A pygmy record.
It was good.
Yeah, it was good fun. It was a track called A Bunch of Roses, Spanish March. You could hear the castanets. They actually came through quite well on that. Just a couple. Here we go. This one's called The Parade of the Tin Soldiers. So, and it's on a Vocalion fairy record with little fairies dancing around the garden. They're beautifully decorated labels because I think they wanted to appeal to kids. So here we go. Parade of the Tin Soldiers. I won't bother queuing it up. I'll just drop the needle. That should do it. Oh, there we go. You can charm mum and dad with that one on your one-up gramophone. Very official. And The Parade of the Tin Soldiers. And
I used to hear that as a kid.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Was it a theme song for something? Maybe?
Yeah, no, it was on, I don't know where I heard it, but it was
just one of those.
well known to me.
Yeah.
I think they might have had it in the kindergarten where I was at the Blind Institute. I think that's it. Yes,
Okay,
yes,
sure.
It is.
Yeah, it sort of has that vibe. This is the computer's.
Very, very nice little number.
Little tunes. And I just love it. Yeah.
For children, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely. But I do like the sound of the brass band, and hearing these band recordings evokes all sorts of ideas of life as it was, and we've talked about it before, but I know the rotundas and the live music phenomena, and every municipality or town had its brass band, and
the rotunda were terrific.
Yeah, great concerts and a lovely sort of shared music making platform, really. So, and I listen to these, and it always sort of conjures up that sort of image for me. I'll play just one more. This one's El Capitan. Now, it looks like our noise reduction system is now back in phase. So, just for the sake of interest, since I've been using the Barefoot, which I rarely use. I use it mainly for cueing, but it does actually work quite well. Here we go. This is Barefoot. Wait a minute. I'll give it a nudge. Here it is. And I'll switch across. So you can probably hear it's just a little tidier. And we heard El Capitan March there on a ferry record from the 1920s. I think that one proudly says electrically recorded on the label. So they were celebrating the fact once electric recording came in.
They realised they were onto something good.
Yeah, they did, and they want everybody to know about it, that your sound will improve. Yeah, looks one other here I do want to hear, and it's a mandolin solo. I reckon that could be interesting, and it's called March Vivace. Okay, March Vivace mandolin. That's all it says. So another fairy record with an instrument that I think is quite beautiful. The mandolin. It'd be interesting to hear what's the style of the march. Okay, it was quite low in the mix there, but we got to hear a quiet mandolin, acoustic recording, of course, and a muffle missions piano accompanying it. But yeah, quite enjoyed that. It always sounded like a banjo on that recording.
Very much so, didn't
It did rather, but apparently it was a mandolin. I suppose you'd almost have to get into the horn. Yeah, I suppose, yeah, some instruments capture better than others.
When electric recording came in, what sort of pickups were the players using the playback?
That's a really interesting.
Crystal, I suppose.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really the crystal pickups, and the really didn't come into much later. People had sort of electrical pickups, a little bit like earpieces, wide with a horseshoe magnet and
Magnetic.
course. Yeah, just magnetic. Yeah, basically it's just like a telephone earpiece, which had
a vibrating.
had an armature and a stylus attached, and that sort of started to come in the late 1920s. But people were playing back their acoustic records on acoustic gramophones, and they still sounded louder and more present, of course. But electrical recording came in. So electrical replay came in the late 20s and en masse, and definitely by the 30s there were console radio radiograms and such. And
so really, when electric recording came in, the reproduction was ahead of the producing was ahead of the ability to replay it.
Yeah, pretty much so. I think technically speaking, the technology was there, but it hadn't been. I think because so many people had wind-up gramophones, it took quite a while for the market to sort of re-evaluate and redefine itself. Yeah. So it's probably market imperatives why they didn't sort of. They let it evolve a little bit slower.
Very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think those early machines, the early electric machines anyhow, and wireless sets from that period, from the early 30s, were very, very expensive. I think they're like TVs when they came out in the 50s.
Yeah, they had I think the radiogram came into vogue.
Yes, that's right. And I think they were really pricey. They cost like hundreds of pounds or a lot of money.
Well, they were very nice pieces of furniture.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. They were sort of cabinet makers' work, and with... all of the added benefits. Yeah.
LSDs.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just looking through this pile of these little fairy records. There's so many, but there's one here. I just want to hear it. It says Waltz and D flats, probably Chopin. And I just did a quick search on the pianist, but I can't find anything about him. It's Mr. D. Rees, Derees. Probably a long-forgotten pianist who they quickly brought in to make this tiny record. But I'm just keen to hear what his playing's like and the style of his playing. So it says, I don't know if it's going to fit. Oh, it's another one of these floating discs. I'll try it. It's floating above the turntable, it's stuck on the top of the spoon.
All right.
Can I make it work? It'll be very wowish, I think. I like the ending. And we
Chopper.
had a chopper, and we got the extrinsic beat there from the from the crack on the record.
Little sort of crazy metronome.
Yeah, it was. It was like having a doof doof beat behind.
It was, absolutely.
I
Not
know.
quite in sync, but
No, I've noticed here it's badly cracked, poor disc. I might see if I can put a tiny bit of super glue on the edge, and that usually holds the crack. You can put a human hair with well, it's very fiddly, and with a tiny dob of super glue, and it usually holds the cracks, and would stop a record like that from eventually breaking.
or you'd have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, you just get a tiny little...
Tiniest of drops.
Yes, you do. It's just like a slither, because if it gets into the grooves,
You've had it.
you're finished. Yeah, absolutely. And it seeps in and ruins everything. But you can just get it on the very edge, and it does actually help. All right, something completely different before we go and before we dig up some Bieber and Foray. This is a recording of Malcolm McCurkin, Australian bass. Where was he born? New South Wales, I think, and made a lot of records in the 20s and 30s. I think he died in 1945, and of course he was one half of Flotsam and Jetsam. But yeah,
Oh, well, yes, he's good.
yeah. So
Well, I really like him.
yeah, he's got a beautiful voice. In
Lovely.
fact, yeah, it's got a gorgeous velvet.
Flotsam or Jetsam.
Yeah, I was just
Really
thinking that. I don't know. I really can't answer that. I just don't. I could look it up though.
I don't worry.
Yeah, because I've got a Flotsam. I might play a recording of him, and then I'll play the Flotsam and Jetsam, and I'll do my due diligence and look it up. This one we got Time to Go, a shanty ballad on this side. The other side is called Only an Old Rough Diamond. What do you reckon?
I reckon the Rough Diamond.
We'll go with the Rough Diamond. Yay! Sounds good to me. This should sound a bit better. This is a nice laminated Columbia record from the late 1920s.
Why am I richest in happiness as I go tramping on? Why was I born to idleness? No care for the day just gone. Why have I turned from the city's din and the life of a vagabond sort, roaming the road without a board, often lost but only in thought? I'm only an old rough diamond, tramping the world and free, through the green lanes of old England. Every maid has a smile for me. I live for the dawn and sunset, the song of the lark on high. I'm only an old rubber diamond, but a king of the road am I. Many the time as the long day wanes and nature's heart beats strong, roaming along deserted lanes, the birds trill my even song. Who's for the hills, they seem to say, for the music of heather and dale, rich as can be in all that's free, and a gentleman's life as well. I'm only an old rough diamond, tramping the world and free, through the green lanes of old England. Every maid has a smile for me. I live for the dawn and sunset, the song of the lark on high. I'm only an old rubber diamond, but a king of the road am I.
What a beautiful voice!
I know.
Oh, he's got the most amazing sound. What a very deep bass. too.
Yeah. You can hear the big chest,
You
can't you?
can. And it's got this wonderful chocolatey. Oh, I love that sort of core resonance that
I know.
a good bass has. Oh, I want to hear more. In fact, I was just reading a little about him here. Now it says he went on to tour of Australia after making it big in England. He toured with Nellie Melba in the First World War, during the First World War, and in 1921, McKirkin went to England with his wife, where he was hailed as one of the world's best bass vocalists. He was
That's good.
Isn't it
Got some
marvelous?
recognition.
He did. He was especially acclaimed as an oratorio singer, although his voice was equally well suited to the demands of opera. But unlike his finest contemporary rival amongst English language basses, Norman Allen, he elected not to pursue the career in that particular art form. Okay. He did a lot of GNS and oratorio singing. Now, I've just did a quick search on the oratorios, and there happens to be a recording of him singing "Why Do the Nations" from the Messiah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's early though, so we won't get the same beautiful resonance because it's an acoustic recording, but
it'd be terrific.
it'd be most interesting to hear this. So yeah, this is from 1922. It's a recording he made for Vocalion, and it's been put up by our good friend John Hanna in Sydney, Mr. Vintage Sounds, and I'm very keen to hear it. It's always interesting to hear the way they interpreted the Messiah back over 100 years ago. But yeah, let's have a listen to Malcolm McKirkin.
Why do the people imagine a vain thing?
Oh, they didn't give us the tootie at the end. I was waiting for it. There we go. That was Malcolm McCurkin from 1922. And you're struggling a little bit in the Floritura passages, but they're very hard to sing. It's really difficult music.
And he's with all those sort of on the one note, on the one syllable.
Yeah, just to be able to sort of do all that fluctuation. But he really captured the drama of it superbly, I thought. I did enjoy the dramatic aspects of the performance. Yeah, fascinating stuff, hearing him in that capacity. I always think that aria makes me think that Gilbert and Sullivan might have been inspired by that type of Handel's writing a bit.
Yeah, could well be.
Just that string writing, just those metoric rhythms and the sort of, just the string writing in particular. I always think of Gilbert and Sullivan a bit. I don't know. It's nothing really to do with Gilbert and Sullivan. I mean, they're generations apart. But when I hear those multitudes of quavers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Just a little bit of a McCurkin roll. Just two more. And this is his stuff. This is the stuff he really shined with. And I have a feeling this might have been one of his popular records. It's been well loved from a bit later on. And it's Changing of the Guard. It's a big orchestral piece, and he's just full chested here.
In his element, as we go.
Absolutely in his element. There's no doubt about that.
London, are you coming to London? When you come to London, I tell you what to do. Go down the streets, take in the treats, do all the usual things. And if your spouse is fond of houses, why not show her the king? Go down the Mall to Buckingham Palace, and there you'll see the changing of the guard. Stand maybe within the palace yard, and if your plea to enter fails, you press your noses to the rails and watch from there the changing of the guard. See, here they come, to beat the drum, a touch of pride and pomp on every hand, a sharp staccato word of command. Behold, behold the changing of the guard. Fancy that's the king's home, wonder if the king's home. Ask him if the king's home, or ask a fellow yourself. The king's away at Windsor, sir, or Sandringham, I fear. But where he is, they're changing guard, the very same as here. By which I mean at Buckingham Palace, where you can see the changing of the guard. Stand maybe within the palace yard, or swell the crowd around the gate that daily come to contemplate, to celebrate the changing of the guard. Observe the style of rank and file, the army drum supplies a regular beat to manly tramp of marching feet. Behold, behold the changing of the guard. Hurry, hunt! You should see the changing of the guard. Stand maybe within the palace yard. The royal standard in the breeze will tell you if their majesties are watching for the changing of the guard. The column queen, to flash your steel, they march away the ceremonial end. But don't forget to tell your friends you've seen the changing of the guard.
Yay, there we go. That was Malcolm McCurkin in full force. And absolutely his thing. That just resonates.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed there is a Pathé newsreel from 1931 and him experimenting with how low he can go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and apparently it's there's quite a few comments that this is saying that this is exceptional. So I got to hear it.
Yeah.
I never knew this existed. So I was just doing my cursory Malcolm McCucken check, and then this popped up. I've never seen it before. It's a British Pathé newsreel from 1931, and he's a very jolly fellow with a wonderful smile and engaging personality. Let's have a listen.
The number I'm to sing to you is one of the old bass solos, sung, I suppose, by every bass in the world. It's entitled In Cellar Cool. I'm going to sing it to you in the original key first, this being the low note. In cellar cool at ease I sit upon a barrel resting. In merry mood I loudly call the finest wine requesting. The sailor man, the big of bills, my lips I soon am linking, and all day long the luscious draught I'm drinking, What about trying it a little bit lower, Ivor? See how low we really can go.
This too?
Sounds a bit low to me. But still I find the more I drink, the more my thirst increases. In fact, a toper's lot is this, his craving seldom ceases. But never mind, the day is long until the sun is sinking. Well, I'll feel a friend to every man while I'm drinking,
Wow.
He has a smile on his face at the end.
I'll bet.
He's very happy with himself.
Didn't even sound like he was straining.
No,
did he?
no, he was effortless, and he's a very large, jolly gentleman, and it's great. It's just marvelous. I love it. And he apparently was Jetsam, the Flotsam and Jetsam.
Well done.
Yes, and
The other fellow was Williams, wasn't he?
Hilliam.
Hilliard. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yes,
that's right.
Bentley Collingwood Hilliam.
Hilliam. Sorry, yeah.
Yes, he lived on. He lived on to 1968, and poor old Malcolm McCucken didn't live that long. He got esophagus cancer, I think. Poor fellow.
Oh, shame.
Yeah, died in 1945. I'll play one Flotsam and Jetsam. I've just got one here in this little pile of McKirkin discs. And one's called the this one's size called the Alsatian and the Pekingese, and B the Postscript. So I've got to play this. I've got to hear what they're singing about.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be a bit of a tale of
Thereby hangs the tale, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I could just preface this by saying that. The definition of Flotsam and Jetsam, it says here, an Anglo-Australian music comedy duo of the 20s and 30s. Mr. Flotsam's real name was Bentley Collingwood Hilliam, and Mr. Jetsam's Mr. Malcolm McKirkin. Hilliam wrote most of their songs and played piano and sang in a light, high tenor voice. By contrast, McKirkin had one of the deepest basses on record. The material consisted of comic songs with rapid-fire delivery and songs with mild social commentary, as well as sentimental songs. They are sometimes considered a precursor to Flanders and Swan. Yes, I was thinking about that.
Yes.
Okay, well, here the Alsatian and the Pekingese. And this is an original. I don't think I've ever played this one before. So,
Could be interesting.
yeah, look forward to hearing the tale.
In a London park was heard the bark of a panther's Pekingese.
From across the way came the loud deep bay, an Alsatian, if you please.
A funny little mongrel cocked his ears and said somehow to me it appears.
An Alsatian frightens all the folk, and a Pekingese is a canine joke.
So I'd rather be just what I am. I'm no thoroughbred and don't give a rap for anybody.
Well, growled the big Alsatian.
What does he say? Cried the Pekingese.
He says that he doesn't give us something for anybody.
Funny little mongrel, busy with his In that self-same park, some men cried, "Ah, what on earth is all that din?"
Some boys are beyond their depth in the pond, and one of them's fallen in.
The funny little mongrel cried, "What's up? I've nothing to do and I'm nobody's pup."
But where's that brave Alsatian hound, and where's that Pekingese to be found?
A pedigree's fine, but on the level, a kid is drowning, so go to the rescue, won't you?
What's that? Growled the big Alsatian.
Have you heard the news? Cried the Pekingese. That wretched little low-down mongrel pup swam out to the lad and held him up.
By the collar of his coat till help came so, and they're giving him the dog's own DSO.
And the mother of the child has offered him a home for as long as he may please.
Well, said the big Alsatian. Woof, woof.
Isn't it a scream? Said the Pekingese. That's all for this evening, and it's all meant as chat. Flotsam and Jetsam, and the trademark is a laugh. So cheerio till the next time, lest anyone forgets them. Yours very sincerely, Flotsam and Jetsam.
Oh, very charming.
Yeah.
It was actually very innocent.
No, still.
I thought the postscript might have been something that one of the dogs didn't come out too well. It's either a Samson and David and Samson story or something. Yeah, anyhow, but yes. Flotsam and Jetsam there on a Columbia. Okay, well, I'm keen to have a sample of some more of Franz Bieber's music following our little chat this afternoon, and I just really enjoyed that, and I'd like to hear more, and keen to hear how Suzanne Laudenbacher plays it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, any comments associated with this? Yeah, comments usually always in the affirmative, but I've never heard of her, but yeah, it would have been an earlier generation of Baroque style playing with probably a bit more tone and maybe less of the affectations that we associate with authentic performance. Now, here we go. I'm just going to cue this one up. And the very first of these mystery sonatas is called the Annunciation. And if I can find, I'll just play a couple of select movements, but I'll see if I can find some with the scoratura as well, just to
Oh, yeah.
could be interesting. But
Most interesting.
yeah, if I can make this
You can
work. Yeah, it's finding sort of isolated movements in these big files is the trick. But we'll see how we go. This one is called, I think it's called the Annunciation, and yes, we'll hear her. But I think she's playing, actually, it's not solo. The Rosencrantz sonatas, it says. That would be the Rosary sonatas, but they seem to be accompanied here where they're not elsewhere, so I'm not sure what the background to that is, but yeah, I think we have a gamba and harpsichord accompaniment, but let's have a listen. Sorry, it's a slow start. Is it still paused? Bear with me. Sorry, this for some reason we're a little slow off the mark here. It seems to be getting stuck. Here we go. I'm going to just fade at that point, and just sort of supply some more examples because there's a wide range. I have to say I really love the playing. I like the attack and I like the sustained quality of it, and I love that rhapsodic feel.
Yeah, it has got that, hasn't it?
I mean, I know there's a very different aesthetic to an authentic approach.
I know.
And
I think it comes over very well.
I think so, and I do enjoy hearing the organ, the accompaniment in this instance as well. But I was reading about them, and I can just read some background because it's quite fascinating, actually. This comes from the Boston Baroque. It's a website with some quite specific information about these Bieber masterpieces. It says Heinrich Bieber's Mystery or Rosary Sonatas rank, along with Bach's unaccompanied violin music, amongst the most challenging works in the Baroque violin repertoire, and his experimentation with the instrument is unique even to this day. Heard as a collection, they are astonishingly powerful and deeply emotional. One of the greatest violinists of the 17th century, Bieber wrote not only avant-garde music for his own instrument, but also many large and small-scale choral works, which only recently have begun to receive the attention they deserve. His choral output includes masses, requiems, motets, and other works, some of them being amongst the grandest church music of its time. Wow. One polychoral mass attributed to him is scored for 53 voice parts.
My God.
That is astonishing.
It certainly is.
Well, that's another tangent to follow up.
It's even more than Speminalium.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Heinrich Bieber was born in Bohemia at 1644 and worked in the courts of Graz and Commerce. I think I read this out this afternoon. The Mystery Sonatas survive only in a single manuscript copy dating from the 1670s. Beautifully copied volume comprising 15 sonatas plus the concluding Passacaglia for unaccompanied violin. Oh, I see. That's the accompanied. That was what we played this afternoon. Was the Passacaglia?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it was. That's right.
Yeah, that's the only one for unaccompanied. Okay. Each of the 15 sonatas depicts one of the mysteries of the Rosary and is paired in the manuscript with an anonymous engraving illustrating the appropriate episode of the life of Jesus or Mary. The concluding Passacaglia, generally considered the greatest unaccompanied violin piece before Bach, shows an engraving of a guardian angel leading a child. Wow. As with the spoken prayers of the Rosary, the 15 sonatas are grouped into 3 sets of 5. 5 joyful mysteries, 5 sorrowful mysteries, and 5 glorious mysteries. The occasion for which these pieces were written is in itself something of a mystery, although they may have been played during the month of October, which was dedicated to the celebration of the Rosary. Devotion to the Rosary was particularly widespread in Europe at this time, and Salzburg had a confraternity of the Rosary, of which Bieber's employer, the Archbishop Maximilian Gandolf, was a member. Okay. Addressing the Archbishop, Bieber dedicated his collection to the 15 sacred mysteries which you promote so fervently. The sonatas do not tell the story of the lives of Jesus and Mary in any obvious way, although there is an occasional tone painting depicting dramatic moments such as the fluttering of the angel's wings, the hammering of the nails, or the earthquake. Some listeners have wondered, and some writers have speculated about exactly how the sonatas relate to the mysteries. Why, for example, is there sometimes a dance or virtuosic passage in the middle of a sorrow part of the story? Were some of these sonatas adapted from pieces written earlier for other occasions? Rather than explicit storytelling, the music seems to provide us with moments of reflection, leaving each listener to find his or her own meaning. Interesting, the Anguished Crucifixion Sonata No. 10 was reworked several years later into a secular version with the titles related to a current event, the Siege of Vienna, rather than the crucifixion. I find that fascinating.
I know.
Oh gosh, how about that? I must sample that in a minute. It is perhaps not surprising that a virtuoso player like Bieber would write technically challenging music. However, these sonatas go far beyond normal virtuosic writing. Bieber instructs the violins to tune the strings differently from the way they are conventionally tuned, that's scoratura, so no two sonatas have the strings tuned in the same set of notes. The effect of untuning, or scoratura, is only that the violinist can play chords that are normally impossible on the violin, but more importantly, that the instrument resonates differently for each sonata. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're saying this.
Yeah. Tuning strings higher creates greater tension on the instrument, and tuning some of them lower makes it less bright. When the strings are tuned to the notes of a particular key, that key sounds more resonant, since the open strings vibrate sympathetically with the notes in that key. Very, very important point. The finding pieces with sympathetic resonances with your open strings gives you enormous advantage. For the player, having a different tuning for each sonata can be disorienting at first, not only because the fingers need to press down in a slightly different places on the strings, but also because many of the notes that she is reading and fingering are not the ones that are actually sounding exactly.
Yeah, gee, that'd be very difficult.
Be
very, I don't know, disconcerting.
It would be. It's like having another alphabet.
Yeah.
For example, notes that are written as large leaps may actually sound close together in some sonatas. And as shown below, some tunings result in bizarre key signatures, which include both sharps and flats. This means that the usual conventions for reading music shift for each sonata. The most extreme altering of the strings occurs in the Sonata 11, the Resurrection. In that one sonata, the middle two strings are crossed over each other both in the peg box and behind the bridge, so that one can literally see a cross on the violin.
Oh my God.
How about that? That places the thinner A string below the heavier D string, putting the strings out of order, not only in their pitches, but also in their feel. Violinists who spend years learning to feel the feel of heavier strings in a lower range and gradually thinner ones as they go higher have to adjust their instincts as they balance chords with the strings out of order. Now, this is I can relate to this very strongly because you become the whole tactile experience of the open strings and the thickness and the weight and the relative position of strings, and even the concave of the bridge, all these things are sort of trusted norms for musical expression. And if you muck around with those parameters, you'd have to sort of almost relearn the instrument.
I can figure that. I mean, I can imagine it.
Yes, it's quite...
You learn instinct, or you learn, feel.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to throw it out the window and start again.
Yeah, you would. It would change everything, all the parameters, your whole sense of intonation scheme, or your hand frame, which is so important in string playing. You've got to have a frame, and you have to have a relative pressure. There's a sort of a pressure differential between strings, which is very, very subtle but hugely important, and that all those parameters would change. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So the one we just heard was the Enunciation. I was playing a bit of it, and that's actually normal tuning. Now, I think we've got access to all of her records here, so I might see if I can just play a couple of, just a little bits of some of these, just to sort of highlight the sound of the Skura tuning.
That would be terrific.
Yeah, if this works, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We'll hear a little of, maybe just play the opening movement of each. The Visitation is the next one. And lower string, it says lower strings raised a whole step creates open fifths of A major. So this looks like A major but with G natural. It's weird. This is strange. So lower strings are raised a whole step. Okay, that's the G and the D string. Right, so that's raised to an A and an E. Wow. So that would create more tension, I would imagine. On the lower string. So that's sonata. Let me get this right. Sonata number 2. What did I say? The Visitation. Okay, I'll just look that up. The Visitation, sonata number 2, and I will just, if I can just cue these up. All right, I'll play a little of this so we can just got to get a sense of what's going on.
Yeah.
And see how we can see if we can draw any conclusions from it. Okay, Mystery Sonata, The Visitation, number 2. All right, let's listen for this altered tuning. This is just the first movement. Okay, interesting to hear that. I'll just give this I'll just fade it at this point because we'll just sort of continue the flow of this. And that was an example from a sonata called The Visitation with these raised lower strings.
Right.
Now the sonata number 3 is called the Nativity, and it's tuned in B. It's tuned as a B minor chord, so with more tension on the bottom 3 strings, which are raised a major third. My God.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, gee, that would really change the character of your instrument. It would almost. So you could probably only do this with gut strings.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the elasticity in the metal, would you?
No, you wouldn't. You'd snap your strings. The top string is lowered for less tension. Okay, top string lowered and the bottom 3 strings raised, so they're all quite close together. A tuned B minor chord. Well, gosh, I'd like to hear this. This is sonata number 3. All right, we'll line that one up. It's called the Nativity, and as before, let's play a short example just so we get this tone world. Here we go. Okay, there we go. It's an example of the Nativity, and
Sounds very nice, doesn't
beautiful. Love the sound of the B minor chord and the natural resonance.
it? Yeah.
Okay, I'll jump ahead a few now to one called The Agony in the Garden. Now this has got the most dissonant of tuning of these sonatas, and it creates a new dark sound for beginning of the sorrowful mysteries. Bottom strings are raised and the top strings lowered, all 4 tuned to notes in C minor scale. Wow. So we've got an A flat, an E flat, a G, and a D.
Well, they're all altered there.
Yeah, everything's altered. Okay, Agony in the Garden. Got to hear this. That's sonata number 6. So if I go to the list, I can just look it up. Sonata number 6, we'll find it here, Agony in the Garden. And we'll just give it... it says here... it's Christ on the Mount of Olives. I think it's Agony in the Garden. I think it seems to be consistent. All right, let's find it and have a listen. Keen to hear these. The sound. I acknowledge that. It is a very dark sound.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, interesting tonal quality of changing the tuning of the instrument. It's a very hard thing to describe, but it's just a colour. It's a sound colour.
Yes. It sounded, as you say, very dark.
Yes, absolutely.
Very solemn.
Next one is the scourging of Jesus, F major chord, extreme tension on the raised bottom strings, and the top string is lower than the other string. Extreme tension on the lower strings. Okay, well, that sort of would make sense, I suppose, for scourging, to actually physically tension the instrument up. But gosh, these instruments must have been pretty
sturdy.
Yeah, absolutely, because these are major register changes. All right, here let's have the scourging movement now. Do a gentle fade on that, just so we can play another couple of examples.
Yeah, sure. That'd be better, really.
Yeah. So that example was a very closely determined tessitura. All the strings are tuned quite close to each other.
Yeah.
So
The low one's up and the high one's
yeah,
down.
that's right, exactly. And now, next one is interesting. It says this is in B flat major. It's the crowning with thorns, and it forms a B flat chord. Greater tension on the bottom string than in any other sonata. Raised to fifth. Yeah, it's extraordinary. I mean, that's really just changing the whole nature of the instrument. So that the violin cannot play below D.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Of course.
It's really getting rid of a string.
Yeah.
Yeah, top string is lowered. So again, quite sort of, it's foreshortened in a sense. Okay, well, I'll hear a little bit of this as well. So this is the crowning with thorns, and it's the movement sonata number 8. We'll play an example. I think it's an adagio in presto. Beautifully resonant B flat major there.
Yeah.
And so the scoratura is all about allowing the open strings to the open notes of the key to resonate naturally.
Yes.
So the key is it's all before even temperament, of course. So
it's not just to do with making chords possible.
No,
it's far more than that.
It's more. It certainly does facilitate the chords of that key and makes them sort of more natural. But it's all about fundamental resonance. So you get the absolute resonance out of your instrument because you've got nodes that sort of sympathetically vibrate, I suppose.
Yep.
And overtones which match and such. Because this music's very diatonic. It's that pre-Baroque era. It's before all of that chromatic
very much so.
Complexity sort of came into the picture around the time of Bach. I'm keen to hear a little bit more, and that example was the Crown of Thorns. The next one is the Carrying of the Cross, and it's I want to hear this. It's in A minor. I like to hear the way minor key tuning works. It's interesting that most of the previous have been in major keys. This one, so tuned to an A minor chord, the bottom strings are raised a fourth, creating considerable tension in the bass. The top two strings are tuned normally. So, yeah, let's have a listen to this. So it was sort of a way to identify with different keys, was to retune. It's like putting crooks and things on a brass instrument. But,
Right.
yeah, because I just didn't have, I think it was more, it's just one way to do things. Another way is to have just have a standard tuning and just do lots of finger pyrotechnics, but you never ever will get that open resonance
No.
that you will with
So
strings.
that's a tonal thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So here we go, Carrying of the Cross, A minor. I have to say, Frank, that those flourishes remind me of Monteverdi's music.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's yeah, the early Baroque. It was very melismatic. Interesting. All right, that was an A minor. Now the Crucifixion itself is in G minor, and it's close to normal violin tuning. Top string is lowered a step to darken the sound and put the open strings all within the key of G minor. So this will have a beautiful, G minor is a beautiful key. Yeah, we'll have it. This is very short. It's a sample of this. I won't go through all of the sonatas, but I'll play just a couple more. So here we go. Mystery Sonata number 10, The Crucifixion, opening movement. tierce de Picardy at the end of that movement. Yeah, that was in G minor. That's the Crucifixion. And this next one's probably the most interesting of them all. This is the one where the strings are crossed. It says middle two strings are crossed in the peg box and behind the bridge to represent a cross.
God.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, you take the string off and, I don't know, you have to rewire it.
That's a lot of... Gee,
Yeah, I know. You'd have to. I think you'd have to have a specially set up violin. In fact,
you would.
the other thing is that tuning, stability of your instrument. If you were to perform these sonatas, I just can't imagine how an instrument would manage with that much tension and not continuously go out of tune.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a separate fiddle set up and allowed to settle, because my understanding of tuning is it takes an instrument a long time to sort of for it to sort of balance itself.
Adjust to it.
Adjust to the tensions.
Exactly what you mean, I think.
Yeah, well, this is it, because wood being so permeable and the just the tension factors can all interrelate.
Yeah.
So if something's suddenly much tenser than it normally is, it will affect the status quo in other ways. So it's
I would have thought sometimes in an unpredictable way.
yeah, absolutely, it is, and I just can't imagine how a performer would sort of, maybe the instruments were very stable.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that works better on the violin than I just can't imagine on lower strings have for the instrument to even tuning up a fifth on a lower string would put so much pressure on the bridge. It would not only snap the string, but it would potentially push the bridge through the fingerboard, through the belly. Because the pressure is very high on a cello or a double bass. Double bass is incredible. It's almost tonnage.
Boy.
It's high pressure, and if you move your string up a semitone, it very considerably raises the pressure of the weight on the bridge.
So a double bass string were to snap, it could be quite dangerous.
Well, there's stories of people, so-called, being decapitated by double bass strings or severely injured, but they're probably apocryphal.
Possibly, but even so.
But yeah, you could severely injure yourself with a double bass if the instrument
hit in the face or something like that. Yeah. Those would be quite likely.
Well, that's right. Yes, what would spring up, the tailpiece would spring up and hit you with such a clout that it would probably could knock someone unconscious, I suppose. The tensions is huge, and I never forget once hearing I've heard it a few times, a cello bridge snapping, which they occasionally do, and it's like a gunshot. Yeah, it really is. It's that loud. Pressure, the pressure's so high. So going back to this score to tuning, the weight differentials between strings would be must put a lot of pressure on the instrument. Okay, so that brings us now to this cross-tuning sonata, sonata number 11, and it's in G major, and it's the Resurrection. So we'll have that example now. I'm just going to cue it up, and we're right to go. In a minute. Here we go. Number 11, the Resurrection. We'll just play the opening movement. It goes a couple of minutes, and we'll get an idea of how the instrument sounds. What would be interesting, Frank, would be to hear it translated for modern tuning, and just compare it, just to sort of, because you can, that always could be rewritten with modern tuning, and just sort of hear how the instrument is affected by that.
That would be most interesting, and just do head-to-head comparisons.
Yeah, it would be good. Yeah,
that's the only way you could really, to see whether what he's doing is kind of worthwhile or thought to be worthwhile.
That's it. And it needs, that would be the point. I think with modern instruments, it would be harder to tell the difference, but I think it would be definitely tangible. But yes, it would be a great experiment. It'd be interesting. Okay. All right. Well, the Coronation of Virgin Mary is number 15, and this is getting towards the end. There's other examples, quite a few others I'd love to hear, but I'm getting tired. And there's some of them, like the chords attuned to the dominant major in a minor key, and that would have a particular effect. But the Coronation of the Virgin Mary, all notes are in the C major scale. Top three strings are lowered a step, creating less tension and somewhat richer sound. So C major. So yeah, it could be interesting to hear this one as well, and then we'll play the Passacaglia to finish. So here we go. Another example ready on the line. Okay, beautiful. Love it. It's got lovely warmth to it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, that was like just a little selection of the mystery sonatas.
Look, thanks for that. That was really interesting.
Well, it's fascinating music. It's wonderful. And we can listen to different versions of it another time. I'm quite taken with Suzanne's approach, but I'll be open to lots of other approaches too. So, we can keep the topic alive and delve deeper, because it's... and I want to look into those funeral sonatas as well. So, there's a number of sort of interesting evolutionary stages with the violin and the not just tuning, but just the whole aesthetic of playing violin music. That's really worth exploring from that, especially that time, that early Baroque period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very compelling. Well, look, having heard a number of examples from these Rosary Mystery Sonatas, so we'll maybe hear Suzanne herself play the Passacaglia, which is the final movement, and this is the solo violin movement, and it's normal tuning, and as our way out tonight, perhaps.
Sounds fine. It'd be interesting to compare it with the one we had this afternoon.
Yes, it'll probably be very different, and it'll have the whole emphasis will be quite different. But that's
the afternoon was a bit austere, wasn't it?
Well, I've got an open mind, and I do like hearing a wide range of different interpretations. But I do natively are warm to a bit of tonal luster.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
No, certainly not. But I do like, tone with a bit of core and maybe at least a little bit of vibrato and some sustaining of the sound. She was using in that recording this afternoon. The environment was doing a lot of sustaining of the sound because it was a very reflective acoustic she was playing in. So
yeah, I didn't think that was entirely suitable.
Yeah, but it is what it is, and it's interesting. This will be interesting to compare it with. So, thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you, of course, as always.
Oh, well, it's a great suggestion, and it's really got me intrigued now. I want to hear more.
I'm going to play tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's one of these things where you buy something and then forget you've had it.
Yeah, I know. It's easy to do. Well, look, if you're listening to yours, and we'll have a talk about it. Maybe we can talk about the artist and do a bit of a postlude on this subject on Sunday, maybe.
Maybe, although it's not your usual.
It's not the usual fare, but maybe people are getting a little bit sick of dance band music.
I don't know. We might have a different.
Yeah, it's good to have a bit of different tangents. I'm sort of thinking to myself, missions are starting to come it's a little bit of a swing and sway and dance band sessions, and I do get that prod on the ribs from Mr. Stew about there's a lot of big spider Mick. And I think, and that's all good, but it's nice to sort of keep an open mind and play a variety of things. So yeah, we could play some more and on Sunday, and maybe I've got all this music from other countries, and there's heaps of it.
I think Dave likes that as well.
Yeah, he does, and I think a lot of people enjoy it. The only thing is I don't know how to present it because I can't read the labels. I don't really know where they come from. They're usually in acrylic script, and they've probably got fabulous backstories. But I feel a bit of an imposter playing music that I can't even provide any context to, other than to say this was recorded in the 30s or 40s. I can vaguely guess as to when they were made, but
in the country. Perhaps.
In the country, yeah. Usually there's a bit of info in that regard, but beyond that, there's some marvelous artists with a fabulous backstory which we can't explore because of the access. But look, maybe I should just ignore that and just not say too much and just play a few more of them. Yeah, but anyhow, there's a thought for future. All right, well, Frank, I'll catch up with you on Sunday.
So you're not on tomorrow?
Probably won't make it because I've got the performance in the afternoon.
Yes.
And then we've got to quickly have some dinners, and then we're doing it again in the evening. So
wonderful. Look, it's probably just as well because it's the RD contest tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's it. So that's probably a good day to be sort of to lie low.
It'll be finished by Sunday by the time you're on.
Okay, sure. No, well, that's probably a good idea, especially on 40 metres.
I don't think you wouldn't go on 40.
No, certainly not. No, thank you for bringing that up, actually. All right, well, we'll catch up. We'll catch up on Sunday. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll wind up now with the Passacaglia from it's the final movement from this set of Rosary Sonatas or Mystery Sonatas by Mr. Bieber.
Saying good morning to the listener.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to your company soon. Thank you, Frank. Until
Thank you, Steve. Take care.
You too. Cheers.
Cheers. vk3sl.